Hey, what's up, everybody? Eric here with Driver Lineup, now Drive to Thrive, here on YouTube. New YouTube channel name that I've been using for a couple months now. Still Driver Lineup, still got Driver Lineup on my trucks. Anyway, checking in with you guys for a new video update today. And I just wanted to give an overview about the Prime Inc. lease purchase. Now, for those who are just checking in with my channel, I run a fleet of trucks, a small fleet of trucks that is hauling Prime Inc. freight. So I'm no longer OTR myself. I do run occasional loads just to stay active with Prime Inc. And I try to stay as plugged in as I can. But because I'm running a small fleet of trucks with Prime Inc., lease purchase is very near and dear to me. I'm a big time believer in the lease purchase program, and it was pretty devastating to me when Prime paused the lease purchase program. Now, first of all, let's talk about what the lease purchase is. The lease purchase is basically that you are buying a truck through a lease, and at the end of the lease you buy the truck, right? You pay a final balloon payment. It's very small, and the truck is yours. So it's lease to own, and it's a great way to buy a truck. In fact, I did a video on this channel. I'll link to it in the description down below. But I did a video, I want to say like a year ago, where I broke down the cost, the comparison of getting a truck through the Prime Inc. lease purchase program versus going to a dealership. And it ended up actually being a better deal. I mean, I broke down the math. I went and looked at several dealerships for the exact same Peterbilt truck that I have, as well as a Freightliner that I have. I gave you the pricing that you pay through Prime Inc. with an APU installed and included. So at the end of the lease, when you own the truck, you own the APU as well, which is the alternative power unit. And those are expensive. Those are like 10, 15, I think they're like $15,000 now. But the lease purchase includes that. So when you took everything into account, you're actually getting a better deal through Prime Inc., or at least at the time you were, than you would have gotten if you'd gone to a dealership. And in addition to that, I also was interested at the time in going and financing through a dealership. The problem that I was running into, so I was basically seeking all options, right? And the problem that I was running into is that in order to build a fleet, it was unfeasible because I would have to put like $40,000 down on a truck if I were to finance through a dealership. And while it may have been feasible for one truck, it was not realistic for me to be able to buy multiple trucks. And even one truck, that's a heck of a chunk to put down. And I have pretty good credit. So the Prime Inc. lease purchase was just a really good deal with the $10,000 down that we pay through Prime Inc. And then the price that Prime gets for the truck, or that Prime pays for the truck, just made it extremely competitive. And I broke that down in that video. So again, I'll link to that in the description below. Highly recommend you check it out. I think the pricing is probably a little bit higher now. I'll be at Prime Inc. about a week and a half after this video goes live. And we'll see if I can get a new breakdown. But here's the thing. Right now, Success Leasing doesn't really have the details of what the new lease purchase program will look like. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. But what I can say is that it looks pretty strong that lease purchase is coming back. And in my opinion, if you're going to be driving for 3+ years pulling Prime Inc. freight, if you can, you should do a lease purchase. It's just, I think for me, the Lyle from No Hippie Trucking is the one who really convinced me to shift from leasing to lease purchase. And it kind of, at first I wasn't a big supporter of it, but it kind of clicked for me when I did the math on all the payments that I was making during home time. And it was crazy. I mean, it was like $12,000 a year or something like that. Now, Jenna and I, when we were running a team, We took probably more home time than most trucks take, but still, it was like over $10,000 a year that in truck payments that we were making for time that we were not running the truck. And that's just money going to Success Leasing. That's not like you're basically making a payment for them, but the truck is not doing anything for you. And I think it just kind of made me realize, well, if I'm going to make a payment, then I at least want to have that asset, because then if the truck's not moving, the payment still means something to me, right? It's still paying for the asset, for the truck. So at the end of the 3 years, I own the truck. So the payment didn't feel quite so dirty for me. And then ultimately, with the way the market is right now, a truck has good, strong value at the end of the note. So that's really kind of like when I started transitioning towards lease purchase and just became a big fan of it. And of course, now I have multiple trucks running a fleet for Prime Inc. And I'm very interested in continuing to order new trucks and put more trucks in my fleet. I have a brand new one that's in Springfield right now. I already have a driver lined up for it. Super excited about him. Been talking with him on the phone. I've already got him connected with my fleet manager. So I'm really keen to get more trucks up and running. So here's the scoop. And unfortunately, I can't give you as much detail as a lot of you are going to want and as I want. We all want a lot of details on a lease purchase program. Here's what we know. Basically, it is, and I've spoke to somebody, I won't mention a name, but somebody who's gonna have about as good an idea as anybody, and just asked point blank, what's the scoop on this? And was told in no uncertain terms that Rob Lowe himself definitely wants the lease purchase program back. He sees it as a great option, a great opportunity, a great draw. It is a great attraction for bringing in good drivers into Prime Inc. So he wants the program to come back. I wasn't at the last driver advisory board meeting because I've given up my position on DAB, just because I'm no longer a full-time OTR driver. So I don't want to hold a seat on the driver advisory board if I'm not going to be actively participating and being a part of that process. So, but it was brought up, and the driver advisory board was told that it's coming back. I was told this morning, right before this video, that information, details on the new lease purchase program are coming probably at the very beginning of October. We can kind of expect information to come out at either the very end of September or the very beginning of October. It will not be exactly the same as the previous lease purchase program. And I had a few questions on that. I didn't get definitive answers, but my suspicion is going to be that the new program, first of all, the trucks are probably going to cost more, because I believe, I don't know for this for a fact, but I believe Prime is probably paying quite a bit more for the trucks than they were a year ago. But my suspicion is that there's going to be contractual language or some sort of amendment to the lease purchase program that you can't just sell the truck out, or you can't just take the truck out of the fleet at the end of 3 years. Maybe they extend it to be a 4-year lease purchase. Maybe they do something like that. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do, but the problem that they're having right now, and this is understandable too. This is not me just bitching about it. This is very understandable. It's very difficult to get trucks. Prime needs Prime freight moved. So it doesn't benefit Prime right now to have trucks that are paid off and then sold on secondary markets or taken to other carriers at the end of 3 years. They need these trucks to be moving Prime freight for longer than the 3-year period. And if a truck remains as a company truck or as a standard lease truck, they can run that truck for 4 years, even up to 5 years maybe now, as opposed to the kind of normal 3 years that they targeted years ago when I started with Prime. Years ago when I started with Prime, the whole objective was to keep the fleet as new as possible and as fresh as possible. You had pedigree truck sales that were moving these trucks off the lot as soon as they hit a certain miles or certain years. That's not the case anymore. Prime has to keep these trucks moving freight as long as possible because they're just not getting the number of trucks that they need to carry freight in the speed that they need it to happen. So they're trying to keep these trucks in the Prime, under Prime's authority for longer. So I would imagine that there's going to be some differences there in the lease purchase program, which in all honesty is perfectly fine with me. You can still, right now, I believe, buy your truck out if you have a current lease purchase program. So you or lease purchase truck, you can go to a bank and, you know, if you owe $90,000 on a truck, get a loan for $90,000 and buy that truck out. My guess is you probably won't be able to do that with the new program when the new program details come out. I don't know that for a fact. It just sounds to me like the program's being reworked to address that problem, and that's it. So that it's probably going to be something that holds the truck under Prime's authority for a little bit longer. In addition to that, it's going to be for 2024, I believe, Freightliner models. So I don't think, and again, I could be wrong about this, that none of this is firm and none of this is public or released. In fact, most of the people that are in management positions in various departments of Prime don't have these details either, but I don't believe that it's going to be Volvos and Peterbilts, at least initially. I think it's going to be 2024 Freightliners, maybe Peterbilts, but I think it's going to be mostly Freightliners and only the 2024 models. So which means you're probably not going to see a new lease purchase truck come until the very end of this year, and that would be a 2024 model, or throughout next year, which would be a 2024 model. And you're probably going to have a little bit higher payment, a little bit higher pricing, and you're probably going to have new arrangement in that lease purchase that requires the truck to stay under Prime's authority for longer than the old 3-year model that used to exist. And I don't know if that's by just making them a 4-year finance plan or having some sort of contractual language that the truck can't be removed out from under their authority until a 4-year or longer mark. And to me, the financing, the 4-year financing would probably make the most sense because that already exists. You already have that option. When you do a lease purchase, well, you can't right this moment as of the time of this video, but when I went in to sign for my first few trucks, I had the option of doing a 3-year finance or 4-year. So you could do 4-year, which would bring your monthly payment down a little bit, but obviously you're paying more in finance fees, or you could do a 3-year. So the infrastructure was already in place to do 4 years. And of course, if you're making payments that are a little bit smaller over 4 years, then obviously that truck is going to continue running Prime freight for 4 years, not 3, or at least that's a better guarantee for Prime, right? That the truck is going to continue moving their freight for longer. So I think that was really ultimately the rub, was that not a lot, but certainly in this day and time when it's so difficult to get new trucks, it was not beneficial for Prime. It was beneficial for a lot of drivers, but not beneficial for Prime to have a truck that was paid off in 3 years and then go to another carrier that may have better, load boards or things like that, when Prime could just have it as a company truck or a standard lease truck and guarantee that truck keeps moving freight for Prime for longer. And that's ultimately why the program was paused. It wasn't because they didn't want us owning trucks. It's the program is a great draw for Prime for drivers. It's what has kept me there. So it's not that they were just like, screw this, we don't want people owning trucks. It's that they had to make some decisions to ensure that there's enough trucks to continue moving prime freight for as long as possible, because again, they're running trucks in the fleet longer than they traditionally would, just because of how difficult it is to get new trucks over into the prime network. So anyway, that is the update that I have for you. There's like a comment on every single video. I get text messages every single day of, hey, when is the lease purchase program coming back? And because I'm no longer on DAB, I'm no longer in kind of an inner circle of information on that kind of stuff. But I do talk with people all the time that kind of have their ear to the ground and know. And of course, this morning I spoke to someone who would be very close to that kind of knowledge and was told, hey, you can expect an announcement or information probably at the end of September or early October, and expect the program to be a little bit different. And I asked, well, is it addressing the concern of the trucks leaving at 3 years? And was told, yes, that is likely to happen. So you're probably, it's going to come back, very highly likely to come back for 2024 models. It's probably going to be a slightly higher payment, a little bit more for the truck. I think I'm paying $160 for my Freightliner, for my Freightliners and Peterbilt. $160 to $162. I think that is probably going to be a little bit higher. There's going to be some sort of built-in obligation for the truck to continue running under Prime's authority for an additional year or maybe more. I'm not sure. But those would be, and it's probably going to be mostly Freightliners. I think Peterbilt are just difficult to get right now. So that is, that's the update, guys. It is, guys and gals, it is fact that the lease purchase is coming back to Prime, or at least as of the time of this video. Of course, anything can change and often does. So right now we're on, it's August 9th while I'm making this. So, you know, on August 25th, it could come out that, hey, the manufacturers are just not cooperating, or, you know, things have changed and we can't do it. But as of right now, it is the full intention to bring lease purchase back to Prime. And I think it's an amazing program. And the reason that it's not just trying to get answers for all of you. I'm ready to order a new truck as well. In fact, I was on the new truck order page yesterday trying to see if I could put through a new truck order. So I think, you know, I think this is a very good thing. Oh, one other thing I believe is that you will not be able to have multiple trucks in order at the same time. So if I order a truck like in October, then, and that truck is going to get here 6 months later or 7 months later, I don't think I'm going to be able to order another truck until that truck gets here. So you're not going to be able to have multiple trucks in order or in process of getting to you. It's just going to be one at a time. You can do one truck, and then when that truck gets here, go do another truck. So there is probably going to be some new limitations in place too. Again, none of this is fact, or at least public fact. None of it's like set in stone, but this is kind of what I'm hearing and what I'm being told is likely to happen. So there it is. Hopefully that answers the question for a lot of you. So go ahead and start saving up that money, put money in e-funds, get ready for that deposit. And I'm going to talk about this in a future video as well. It's less difficult than you think it is to gather up the money for that deposit. If you can put away $500 a month for 5 months, then order a truck and continue putting away $500 a month, which is like $125 a week. For the time that you're waiting on that truck to get there, you've got your deposit. So it's not like, I think a lot of drivers see that $10,000 or whatever it might be for you. If you've not been leasing for a while, your deposit may be a little bit higher, but they see that deposit and think, oh my God, that's a mountain I can't climb. Everyone can climb it with the right strategy and the right planning. So if you're thinking about it, start saving now, because it is coming back. It's a great program, and it's a great reason to continue running freight for Prime Inc. So Again, hopefully that answers the question. If you have more questions about it, leave it in the comments below and I'll see if I can get answers. Right now, it doesn't look like we're going to get a lot of solid answers until the end of September or early October, but I'll still ask and see what I can find out for you guys. And of course, I'll provide updates as I get them here on the channel. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate all the support, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. They continue to grow even in this time that I've been not making a whole lot of videos. Love it and thank you. Be safe, make good decisions, and as always, drive to thrive. Talk to you all soon.